amend NASC Act, that's the National Assembly Service Commission Act. And Senate President opposes Assembly Workers Service extension after retirement. Alleged 2.8 billion naira fraud, why Sirika paid son-in-law's firm 100% airport contract sum. It's challenging to govern Nigeria, says ex-president Muhammad Buhari. And still staying with the Nation newspaper, we won't allow politicians to compromise cash transfer register. And Nigeria's electricity market open for investment, says Finance Minister. And Obasa absent as Miranda moves into Lagos Speaker's office. Talking about the development in the Lagos State House of Assembly there. And back to politics, Atiku Obi disagree over coalition against Tinubu. And we move on to the Punch newspaper. The lead story here, Afenifere, can others oppose push for Sharia in Southwest? And gospel singer pleads not guilty to killing Nasarawa copper. Lagos Assembly plans Obasa's fraud probe on resumption. Dangote refinery to receive 12 million barrels US crude. Report. And PDP crisis, uncertainty as NWC members shun Southeast meeting. And Farotimi, Afenifere, Obi hailed Afe Babalola for withdrawing defamation suit. That story broke yesterday. And illegal mining, Oshomole's allegation against ex-military officers, reckless, says retired general. An owner of Niger exploded dynamites still at large, according to the Nigeria police. And for some celebrity news, celebrities slammed Tubaba over split from wife Annie. I'm sure if you've been following the developments on social media, you know what the online in-laws have been saying after the announcement of the split. And Nema Al-Hilal agreed to terminate contract, that's on sports. And back home, probe begins as gunmen abduct Abuja family of 4. We move on to the Tribune this morning. State capture makes democratic change nearly impossible. Atiku. And Southeast PDP rejects Damagu stakeholders meeting. I feed on rental income, not corruption. Muhammad Buhari. And 2027, count me out of coalition against Tinubu, APC, Peter Obi. The Federal Civil Service Commission opens portal, begins recruitment. We'll move on to the Vanguard newspaper now. How price of rice rose from 25,000 naira in 2000 to 105,000 naira in 2024. That's from the Vanguard newspaper. And still on Daily Faro to me, Afe Babalola is saying, I rejected pleas from OBJ and Father Kuka. Will join security outfits to eject ISWAP criminal herdsmen from Igbo land. At Pope. Impersonators misrepresenting us, Youth Party. And on bandits influx to the southwest, Ondo and Motekun arrest 300 suspects. Ebonyi to sanction politicians over abduction of 5 villagers. And in Abia State, we didn't sign any pact on pension with OT. That's the NUP. All right, we move on to the Sun newspaper. EFCC confirms death of officer in Lagos, begins investigation. And Nigeria's broken past, promising future must come with a price. And this is coming from Vice President Shettima. Obi rejects coalition for purpose of only grabbing power in 2027. And PDP NWC split over Southeast stakeholders meeting. All right, we are moving on to the Guardian newspaper now. Trump's presidency, U.S. aid suspension may cost Nigeria $1 billion in health funding, others. And Shettima blames democratic failure in Africa on complex pressures. And police insist terrorists escaped to Cameroon, IEDs recovered in Kano. 2027. More hurdles for opposition as Obi rejects coalition, PDP crisis deepens. EU tells ECOWAS find new ways to coexist with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And 300 million Africans to access electricity as DFIs commit $10 million by 2030. And Ondo Ministry House votes billions for travel contingencies. And Osun APC welcomes exit of Aregbesola Group, says move overdue. And telecom tariffs hike, NANS, NAP, storm NCC for high-level dialogue. And Okonjo-Iweala urges calm dialogue to prevent trade war. Presidency backs 50% tariff hike, describes telecom economic pillar. And this day honors Lady Ibru with Lifetime Achievement Award. 122 million Nigerians at risk of tropical diseases. And Catholic Bishop decry rising poverty, seek empowerment of Nigerians. LCCI calls for stronger investment in critical infrastructure. All right, we move on to penpushing.com now. Afe Babalola agrees to withdraw suit against Dele Farotomi. A story trended throughout yesterday. And still staying with penpushing.com, rabies outbreak reported in 2 local government areas of Benue State. If you're a dog owner, you need to watch it. And grave shrine uncovered in hotel used as kidnappers camp are still on the front page of penpushing.com. And fake local vigilantes kidnapped family of 3 in Abuja. You can find that story too on the front page of penpushing.com. And finally, on that paper, mob lynches 80-year-old woman accused of transforming from bird to human. If you want the detail, penpushing.com is a place to go. It's a source of authentic news globally. All right, we'll take a short break now, and when we return, Mr. Salman Salami will be standing by to help us navigate the second half of the show. Please don't go away. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM. so much for staying tuned. It's still Newspaper Review on Citizen 93.7 FM. And this is the second half of the show. And this is also where we look at some of the stories in details. My in-house analyst is already here. Mr. Salman Salami, good morning, sir.
Very good morning to you, Lawrence Umuiti.
And thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
All right. We'll start off with the story on the front page of The Guardian. Shettima blames democratic failure in Africa on complex pressures. Vice President Kashim Shettima has expressed regret that democracy in Nigeria is experiencing setbacks, blaming it on complex pressure which include past and contemporary challenges like endemic poverty and insecurity in many countries of the continent. Shettima spoke yesterday at the National Conference on Strengthening Democracy in Nigeria, organized by the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development. He was represented by Special Advisor on Political Issues, Akim Baba Ahmed. According to the Vice President, Nigeria's position as the bastion of democracy in Africa is to respect the sovereignty of the people and encourage them a return to democracy because citizens in each country desires that return. Mr. Salami.
Good thing that we are beginning to understand and appreciate what democracy means and what it portends for the people. Clearly, democracy can and should thrive rather, in Africa if Africans are desirous of making it work. What exactly do I mean? I am saying by this that Africans generally, not the leaders alone, Africans generally should, as a matter of deliberate decision, desire democracy. If the leaders are committed to making democracy thrive in Africa, and the followers too have the same mindset, democracy will thrive. What exactly do they need to do? They need to appreciate the fact that democracy is not a destination. It is a journey. And the journey is only good when the bountiful dividends of democracy are delivered to the people. Not until that. It is when that is done that democracy can thrive in this part of the world. And we must know that the intangible things are the raw materials of democracy. The respect for the rule of law, the preservation of the dignity of man. We should know that by coming to us with a tin of palm oil and 3 noodles of gari, why? So that we can vote for them. We should know that that is not the way to go. The way to go is by allowing people to come to us with a complete plan, manifesto. I am desiring this position. I want to vie for this position because I want to deliver XY deliverables. I even want to believe that we should have passed the stage of we build bridges and roads, good as they are. We should have passed that stage. We should take that for granted by now. And we should now prioritize those things that make democracy real work. Like I keep on saying, it takes more than 2 to tango when you are discussing democracy. The followers and the leaders should be on the same page. And they should prioritize the people, welfare and well-being of the people. Clearly, it can work. Because as of today, I don't know any other form of governance that is better than democracy, at least as of today.
All right, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper now. And 2027, more hurdles for opposition as Obi rejects coalition, PDP crisis deepens. Former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has distanced himself from any coalition effort aimed at unseating President Bola Tinubu and the ruling APC in 2027, stressing that his focus remains on tackling Nigeria's pressing challenges, including poverty, insecurity, and the deterioration of public institutions. This came as a fresh wave of controversy rocked the opposition People's Democratic Party, as loyalists of acting national chairman Damagum convened a contentious meeting with the Southeast stakeholders in Abuja, reportedly bypassing key party leaders in the region.
Well, I want to be more circumspect in analyzing this story. Why am I saying this? It is almost clear that the crisis in PDP is becoming endemic. It is also clear that the resolution of the crisis in LP by the Supreme Court may not be in favor of all the parties. Why am I saying so? A situation whereby the judiciary decides what the people should decide, it leaves a lot, especially it leaves a very sour taste in the mouth. In politics, you need almost everybody. Like I was told that Babawolo said that in politics, you need everybody, including the mad people, provided that he will be sane when he's going to cast his ballot. It is when you want to form government that you will not include him. What am I saying? Inclusivity. Participatory. Democracy must be participatory. Everybody, as much as possible, is needed in a democracy. Don't you know that if you are defeated by one vote, you have been defeated? I was a victim. So what we are saying in effect is that if the opposition think that they want to oust the APC, they should know what to do. And they should, because I'm giving this for free, avoid what I call delusion of grandeur. That LP can win national election. Good and fine. PDP, without any alliance, could win. That is fine.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? We are not here to help them free. If they want political consultancy, they should please consult us and retain our services professionally.
I thought you were a patriot.
Yes, of all patriotism, the patriotism of the belly is important too. But by and large, on a very serious note, I think there is the need for the opposition to think outside of the box if truly they want to wrestle power from APC.
All right, let's move on to other nation newspaper now. Senate President opposes Assembly Workers Service extension after retirement. Senate President Godswill Akpabio said he is against National Assembly management workers who seek service extension after retirement to enable them remain in office. He said such a practice breaches public service rules. He said the Senate President directed the National Assembly Service Commission to urgently get rid of such management workers from service without delay. Akpabio said this when he hosted the outgoing chairman and members of the National Assembly Service Commission in his office. And there is a quote here. It says, however, since you are handing over to the secretary, pending the time, myself and the speaker will make recommendations for a new chairman and members. The lapses observed within the last few years must be mentioned. And that's the lapses he talked about, Mr. Salam.
National Assembly Service Commission or even Public Service Commission. What does the act say? By the time you are 60 years, you bow out. Or if you are putting 35 years in service, I wonder why people will still look for extension, having had this, knowing fully well that there is a stream of unemployed graduates. And unless you go or you leave after you have completed your tenure or term, our young boys will not be employed. And I think it is the way to go. So we should thank the SP, the Senate President, for doing this. They should not waste time in implementing it. And of course, without being told, they should stop seeking extension. They are not God's gift to Nigeria. We have other people who are equally good. And even if they are not as good as you think they are, they can be trained. It is by acquiring experience over the years that they too will step up. Let's do that. That's the right thing to do.
And why do people exactly fear to quit after such a long period of time?
Well, whether they quit or they don't quit, like the Yorubas always say, whether the boy does well,
Boy-in-law.
boy will go.
Actually, all right, Mr. Salame, let's still stay with the Nation newspaper. Alleged 2.8 billion naira fraud. Why Sirika paid son-in-law's firm 100% airport contract sum. A High Court of the Federal High Court heard yesterday that a firm linked to the son-in-law of former aviation minister Hadi Sirika was paid 100% of the contract sum before the execution of the contracts awarded at the Katsina airport. The FCC is prosecuting Sirika for, among others, allegedly facilitating the award of the contract to a company in which his daughter and son-in-law have interest. A former director of procurement in the Ministry of Aviation stated this when he resumed his testimony as the fifth prosecution witness in the ongoing trial of Sirika on a 6-count charge bordering on corrupt practices. The prosecution alleged, among others, that Sirika used his position to confer unfair advantage upon the son-in-law and the daughter. Mr. Salame.
Well, we have been saying it that corruption remains one of the banes of our society, and the earlier we deal with this decisively, the better. I know very well, I should anyway, I've been putting over 3 years or 4 decades into this profession. I still want to believe that the vices fester because they are not punished, or there is no punishment. We keep on saying it that we should not reward bad behavior. There should be consequence. The moment you know that you will face the music, even after your tenure in office, you'll be circumspect. A situation whereby a public office holder confers undue advantage on his own simply because they are his own is, to say the least, unacceptable. And I think let the law take its course as it is doing now, but give whoever is concerned a fair hearing.
Exactly.
It's very important.
And that's why it's in court, because that's the arm of government that will ensure that all parties are given fair hearing before judgment. Well, Mr. Salame is still staying with the Nation newspaper. We won't allow politicians to compromise cash transfer register. Attempts by politicians to influence the compilation of the social register of identified indigent beneficiaries for conditional cash transfers are being rebuffed by the federal government, it was learned yesterday. Dropping the hint in a chat on the national television, the Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction Minister foreclosed political consideration as criteria for beneficiaries. According to him, 19.8 million poor Nigerians have been captured in social register, but that only 1.2 million of them have been fully validated to receive assistance. The identity data, the minister noted, is essential to ensure accuracy, transparency, and fairness in the administration of safety net programs. Mr. Salome.
I am still convinced that we are not serious.
Why?
With all due respect. In compiling the list of names of indigent people, we are still having problem that is about to be compromised by politicians. Are they poor people too? So they want their name in the list as well. Why is it that we are unconscionable in this country? Poverty does not hide, so also affluence. And I want to believe that we should not rob Peter to pay Paul, or that we should even stop, because that's what we are doing already. A situation whereby, to even start with, politicians think that their names should be in the data list. Is to say the least. Sad. Because there are more poor people in Nigeria than those who can afford the basic needs of life. And by compiling the list, we are trying to cushion the effect of poverty in such a way that the poorest of the poor too will at least have a feel of good life. But if the big ends do not want the small ones to crow again, then, as they say, Allah day.
Oh, well, for me, I just believe that the humanitarian minister is just telling us what we need to hear. It's virtually impossible for you to keep politicians out of interference in that list. It's almost impossible because this is what they do for a living. And they need to, in some cases, we've heard reports of padding of that list and so many other things. Politicians will always be politicians. And when we talk politicians, we're not talking about the state governor here. We're not talking about the minister here. We're talking about those even at the rural areas. And we're talking about the councillors, the party chairman, and those influential people at the lowest of the lowest levels who try to influence this thing. So it's neither here nor there. Mr. Salami, let's go to the Tribune. This story is very interesting. State capture makes democratic change nearly impossible. And who is saying this? Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And this is his argument. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has raised alarms over the increasing difficulties of removing those in power through democratic means, attributing it to what he described as state capture in Nigeria. Reflecting on the current state of governance, he observed that the erosion of democratic principles has not been the result of any single administration, but rather a gradual decline fueled by lack of vigilance and corrective action over the years. He noted that the deteriorating ability of citizens to freely choose their leaders has culminated in a system where those in power are increasingly insulated from democratic survival.
I don't agree with you.
Okay.
We are all witnesses of what has been happening in the states. In Osun State, a sitting governor was defeated. Still possible. A situation whereby you make a hasty generalization.
But
that's one. And even in this country, a sitting president was unseated.
that was also one of.
So one off. When you see one off, you see two off. If you are patient enough.
No, you.
And if guy is not taking, you see three off. To now say use his own personal experience as a serial contender to now make it as if that is what is happening in the country. It's not so. What we are saying is this: you needs to do what I call hard-headed thinking and come up with a more robust argument or more. If you tell Nigerians he has gone to bed now, we see him in 2027. It is not like that. In democracy, you keep on voter education. That is what we call responsive opposition. You must always come up with a more robust idea in such a way that majority of the people will now see that don't let us christen him as the best president we never had. Let us have this one. That's the way to go, instead of the lamentation.
Okay, Mr. Salami, for once, I just want us to look at the submission of the Vice President, and let's remove the messenger this time. Let's look at the message. What he's actually saying is that over the years, it's becoming more and more difficult to remove people in power in other means. If you look at the situation generally, apart from the few one-offs that we've talked about, it's difficult. Take, for example, local government elections. It's always certain, once there is a local government election in any state, it's always certain that the party that the governor belongs to is going to clear the seats. True or false? True.
In most of the states, in natural there was no election. But in the recent, when we are talking of federal election, experience, and we have seen that INEC is improving.
True.
And with the improvement, it only means that the politicians too should do their own part of the game. We will need voters' education. You ask yourself, why voter apathy? The beneficiaries of election are the politicians more than any other person. So they should be in the forefront of enlightening the people. What I call political education. They should be in the forefront. And when we continue to do this, a time will come when people will be so politically enlightened that giving them a mudu of rice or 4 mudus of gari to vote for them will be an insult. A fortuitous one. We should educate the people. And when we educate the people, they will know what to do. And it will be easier for them to now unseat any government that is not delivering the bountiful dividends of democracy.
Okay.
We must get there, not armchair criticism.
All right, we will get there very soon. I hope this will happen in my lifetime.
It will.
All right. Let's move on to the Tribune newspaper. This story also trended yesterday, and on Twitter there was a lot of basbos, as they call it. I feed on rental income, not corruption, Buhari. Former President Muhammad Buhari has revealed that he sustains himself financially through rental income from one of his houses, emphasizing that he did not corruptly enrich himself while in office. Speaking in Hausa during an All Progressives Congress caucus meeting held at the Presidential Banquet Hall, Katsina State, ahead of the local government elections, Buhari reflected on the complexities of governing Nigeria and called on leaders to prioritize transparency and accountability. Nigeria is a difficult country to govern, but most Nigerians are unaware. You will not understand the complexities of leadership and the country itself until you find yourself in the administrative position of this country.
Lawrence, it is clear, and you will recollect that I told you that a former minister told me that government is vast.
Vast, yes.
And that is the truth. There is no doubt about the fact that it's a complex situation. Government and governance is a very complex situation. And I have been saying it that you may say it's not corrupt. Up till tomorrow, we have not seen any of his ministers or anybody who has come out to say that, yes, I collected my share and I gave him his share of the deal we did. No, we have not had that. We have heard of Mambila crisis, corruption. We have heard of so many others. But we have not heard any about Baba Buhari. He has integrity, and his integrity is intact. There are other things. Like I keep on saying that some of us still believe that saints do live on earth now. That one such saint is Baba Buhari, quote and unquote. The problem we have is this. If we say that a vehicle had accident and the driver has no blame, is the conductor we should hold responsible, we find that a bit untenable. That is why we have the problem with him. But to a large extent, and I'm talking responsibly, Baba Buhari is a man imbued with integrity. And I think it's a pride of this country. Nigerians should be proud of him. Africa should be proud of him. He's one man who is in tune with the reality of life, that at the end of everything, the sum total is vanity. Vanity upon vanity.
All is vanity.
He doesn't have presidential library, and he's not preparing to launch one. He doesn't have more than 53 cows, and the 53 cows remain the same. They don't give birth and they don't die. To say the truth, Baba has, to some extent, in fact to a large extent, integrity. He's imbued with integrity.
All right, you can join the conversation. You can call us on 0903-2229-797. You can also call us on 0818-2222-2805 or 0818-2222-206. Any of those numbers, let's talk. Mr. Salami, there's this story also on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Kaduna Governor defends negotiations with bandits. The Kaduna State Governor, Uba Sani, has explained the reason behind the state government's decision to negotiate with bandits, saying it is better than losing lives. According to the governor, only the victim's family will understand and appreciate why the government made such a drastic decision. In an interview with the BBC House of Service, which was monitored in Kaduna yesterday, Sani explained why his administration opted for a peace deal with the bandits, unleashing terror in some parts of the state.
Generally speaking, don't negotiate with criminals.
All right, Mr. Salami, just a moment. I think we have a caller. Hello. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Abayomi. I'm calling from Gariki.
Thank you. Good to have you, Abayomi.
I want to appreciate our daddy over there, Mr. Salami, CCO. It's been a while that we hear from him. It's good to hear from him again, sir, this morning. You're welcome, Daddy.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Sir, I want to agree with our former president 100%. You see, that in my workplace, this was one of those things I used to say, that I'll never abuse any leader or anybody until I get to that seat. I remember my Governor Fayemi was saying something then. He said there was a time he is not using sarin. That the people of the village now gathered to as our son, if you are coming to the village, you want to be hearing noise. That why is he not using sarin? You can ask him. I was laughed that day. You see, when we get, that's one of the areas I'm having issue with all these former the president that said they are contesting. I just like what you said. All the other that they have each governor from their own party. Can't they pick that state and use as a prototype to launch to the federal? But you work with just see them now. Some of them now, we still have in paper this morning that they don't have to agree. They don't. Can't they start from there? One of them that is coming now, we are still seeing people that they are sitting in the state. That the one of the Senate talk about the emirate removing. Sir, let them start from where they are. It's better. It's just like what Daddy was saying this morning. I really appreciate that. Daddy Salami. God bless you, sir. I don't know why we are not hearing this thing always. We really like you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Abayomi. Thank you for calling. The number is 0903-2229-797. You can also call us on 0818-2222-205 or 0818-2222-206. Mr. Salami, you are about to react to the Kaduna State Governor's explanation.
Yes, I was just saying that as much as possible, we should avoid negotiating with criminals. Bandits are criminals. No two ways about that. There could be exception to the rule, because I'm not an absolute. I detest absolutism. There are no absolutes in life. Yes, there could be exception, but generally speaking, don't negotiate with criminals. You quench them. You don't fight. I mean, you don't negotiate with criminals. And I want to believe that it should be an exception. And what the governor might have told them yesterday should be an exception to the rule. We should not take this as the rule. A situation whereby we feel overwhelmed and we think that to negotiate with criminal is the way to go, then we have lost it. And I don't think we have lost it. We should not negotiate as much as possible with criminals. We should not compromise. You know why? Criminals will never keep their words. In actual fact, when you say somebody is a criminal, we all speak good English. Nothing good can come from a criminal. A criminal is bereft of everything. No moral values, no virtues. He does not keep to agreement. And what agreement to start with? Why should you have an agreement with a criminal? It's anti what is good. You should neutralize criminals. Don't negotiate with criminals. In exceptional cases, like I keep on saying, that in life, there's no absolute. But then, we should not make negotiation with criminals the rule. It is not, it should not, and it cannot. Let it just be rare exception.
All right, we move on to the Punch newspaper now. And illegal mining, Oshomole's allegation against ex-military officers reckless, says retired general. A retired military officer, Major General Bamidele Oluwawumi, has faulted Senator Adams Oshomole's allegation that retired military generals are behind illegal mining activities in Nigeria. The Punch reported that Oshomole said those involved, that's a quote, those involved in illegal mining are people in high places, including retired generals. These are not unknown people. They are well-known people with private armies who protect their illegal mining site. The statement has since ignited widespread criticism, particularly from retired officers who feel targeted by the allegation. However, in a statement, the general describes Oshomole's remark as reckless, baseless, and offensive, accusing the senator of tarnishing the reputation of retired generals who have served the nation with honor. And there's a quote here, as a retired general who has faithfully served the country, I find the senator's comments not only false, but a direct affront to my person and the legacy of my service. The Salam.
I wouldn't know if Senator Adams Oshomole mentioned the name of that general.
Did not.
Fine. You see, we should avoid what I call hasty generalization. If he has said that some generals, and in rare cases, if he has his facts, he could mention their names. But definitely not all generals. It's not possible for all generals to be involved in that nefarious activity. But then, like I keep on saying, that we must be very careful and mindful of the words we use. Of course, Oshomole is not a journalist. That is not an excuse. He should avoid what I call hasty generalization. And we must be careful the way we talk about reputation. It takes years, if not decades,
to build
a name. We should not, with a brush, just spoil the name. Of course, whoever feels offended knows what to do.
Yeah, head to the court. All right, Mr. Before we wrap up, there's this story that I deliberately left for the last, and it's on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Nigerian-American woman returns $5,700 she found in the United States. A Nigerian-American woman, Victoria Ogunremi, has returned the cash sum of $5,700 which she found in a toilet at her workplace in New Jersey, United States. The gesture has been described as one of the remarkable acts of honesty and kindness by most Nigerians living abroad. Ogunremi told News Agents of Nigeria in a telephone interview on Monday that the gesture has earned widespread praises from her employer, colleagues, and the person who lost the money. According to her, the decision to return the money was informed by concerns for person who has lost the money. These are the kind of stories that please me, because it's not everything bad about Nigerians that you splash in the world. I'm not surprised that the internet is not abuzz with this. If she had carried drugs now, or if she had killed someone, it would have been all over the place.
Lawrence, this is who we are. We are Nigerians. We are good people. Quite many of us are very honest Nigerians. We are Nigerians. We have our history. We have names. We have backgrounds. And we know we have character too. I don't know what the National Orientation Agency is doing. I don't know what the Ministry or Federal Ministry of Information, what they are doing. This is the narrative. This is the kind of story we should be telling the world. President Jonathan left office. He even congratulated the incoming president that time. Trump did not do that. Quite many Nigerians would, without blinking an eyelid, return whatever is found. Why? It is not theirs. Why don't we report all this and put it on the front burner that we are Nigerians, we are honest people, we have character, it's in our DNA to do what is right. Why is it that the few bad eggs amongst us are the ones spoiling our names? And that precisely is what we do, like parrot, keeps on talking about. We have a good name. We are Nigerians. We are good people.
Exactly, I agree with you. And this is thumbs up from Citizen FM to Mrs. Victoria Ogunremi. Thumbs up. Thank you so much for keeping the flag flying, and thank you for being a woman of conscience, and thank you for representing Nigeria in the United States. Thank you so much, Mr. Salman Salami, for having you on the program. I know it's Tuesday. I don't want to be seen as too forward. I won't expect so much today from you after the show, but all the same, thank you so much for this great show.
It's a pleasure having me, sir.
All right, that's our package on Insight on newspaper review this morning. Tomorrow is another day, 8 a.m., bright and early. My name is Lawrence Omoite. Enjoy the rest of your day.